give it a go.
Okay, hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Independent Film Trust Talks. We are here with Phil Dunn, who is the director of The Stupid Boy, a film we have recently screened. Hi, Phil.
Hi. Hi, Blanca. It's lovely
Um,
to chat.
yes, it's great to chat with you. I'm very happy you agreed to tell us more about yourself, your career, and I would love to hear more about how did you get involved with Independent Film Trust, and well, firstly, tell us a little bit about yourself and did you become a filmmaker?
Oh well, I'll try and keep it brief because it's so I can go on about it forever, and it's such a long sort of circuitous route to making films. But I actually originally studied medicine, and then after a couple of years, I stopped that. That was in London. Then I studied theology, which was kind of all about for me, it ended up being really about the stories that have inspired people throughout history. Obviously, religions have told stories as a way of shaping their culture and their religions, and they were actually very good at it because those stories have stuck around for thousands of years. And during that, I started playing with film a bit more, having sort of messed around with it as a teenager. Um, and for my dissertation for the theology degree, I actually wrote and made a short film. So that's what really sort of sold me on the whole cinema craft. Really, like I just fell in love with the writing, the directing, working with actors, and we had such a fun time with all these students. We were filming on a train, so kind of really just just fell in love with it. So from there, I set up my production company. That was about 18 years ago now, and I made a lot of films for a lot of other people. But then in the last few years, came back to making my own again. So yeah, I've made a few shorts in the last few years.
Well, that's amazing, and this is something new. I definitely didn't know about those two majors, and kind of now it makes sense after watching your film or your last
Yeah.
film. Um, so could you tell us how did that came about, and what was like an impulse for you to make The Stupid Boy?
Yeah, The Stupid Boy it's been kind of in my bones for a long time. And it was a film that it's one of those things, one of those ideas, one of those things I deeply sort of felt, and this kept coming back to me like that wouldn't go away. I actually first thought of it the first seed for the idea came to me after the 2005 terrorist attacks in London. And I remember being there in the months afterwards, and people returning to using the tube and being very nervous and worried about, like, could there be another attack? Could there be another bombing? And I'd been reading a lot about non-violent resistance at the time, up till then. And Gandhi and Martin Luther King had kind of used these non-violent techniques to stand up against their oppressors. And I wondered, like, what would that look like in this situation if someone stood up with a suicide vest, and how do you respond to that in any other way other than just flight, running as far away as you can, or fight. Some people might try and tackle them or shoot them or something, but is there a third way that you could respond? And that really, that was what I was thinking about on the tube one day when, I'm just imagining that scenario and thinking, well, what would happen if instead of running away out of fear, someone walked towards this bomber out of love? And that was the kernel, really, and that kind of stuck with me. And from there, and that was in 2005. So it took me a while to realize that this was not just an idea, but actually a story that needed to be told. And it was kind of knocking on my door, and I finally made it into a film just after lockdown. And yeah, it's been amazing to see how well it's been received over the last sort of year and a half on its festival run.
Wow, yeah, this is really wonderful, and well, I wish it could take you a little bit less to do it, but this
Yeah,
is something I'm going to go into it in a bit. But I just wanted to, yeah, to dig deeper into
yeah.
the impact you're making, because
Mm.
I found your film beautiful. I was crying for 1 hour after watching it, and
Oh,
no, I really did, and it doesn't happen often. but I thought it was really beautiful, and the message was, I think, so impactful for many. You obviously
Mm,
were not there for the screening that we had, but the response
yeah,
was wonderful. The screening of the Independent Film Trust we held. Um, but obviously, you went to many festivals and received lots of awards for the film.
yeah.
So, yeah, if this is from me, really, thank you for the film.
Well,
What
thank you.
impact would you are you do you want to have, or what do you think audience can get out of it? Is there a message
Yeah,
that you're trying to convey as well?
yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, thank you first of all, because that's really lovely to hear that, and also, you're not the first person that has said that, and that's been a really incredible thing over this last year and a half. The festival circuit has been so encouraging, and particularly post lockdowns, where my previous film I couldn't go to any festivals.
Mm.
It was amazing that this one I could meet people in person, and I sat with a woman in Germany who was crying for an hour after the film. So it did seem to just hit a note in people, and that made me feel, gosh, well, that's why it was so in my bones, right? It meant something to me to make this film. I had to make it for myself, but then for it to mean something to somebody else as well really means a lot, and makes me feel a lot of hope. And that's kind of connects to the message of the film. Really, is that you know these two characters in the film that we follow, Stephen the bomber, being groomed towards the attack, and Michael, the teenager, who's neurodivergent and just see things in a simpler way, or a different way from the way most of us would see it, um, and has this very loving approach to the world. Um, you know, the fact that you see these two sort of opposites, these two different sides, and these people come. There's I don't want to give much away, but essentially they encounter one another, and it's powerful, and it brings hope. And that is, I think that's the power of cinema. That's what I want to be doing. I want to be telling stories that are real, that don't play down the issues that we are facing in our world at the moment. Very real issues at the moment, of wars and people being set against one another, being polarized. They are the enemy, we are on the side of the good or the right or God or whatever, and you are on the side of the bad, and we're going to, and actually, there again, what are the responses? Either we run away out of fear, or we fight and we have a war. But is there another way? And I think that's what I want to explore with this, in this very small, like, individual story with two individuals. But there you are, you can see, like, the power of actually this alternative approach. And yeah, I know it's a bit like, would that really happen in real life? I don't know, but I do know there are examples, real world examples. I've met other filmmakers who have actually documented examples of people who have been set up as enemies. Actually, there was one last year at the Oscars, which was nominated as a documentary called Stranger at the Gate, where there was a man who was going to go and bomb a mosque, and he went to that mosque to scope it out, and the people that met him there were so kind to him, and so welcoming, and so warm, that it just melted him. And he had everything ready, he had all the equipment ready to carry out the attack, but he couldn't do it because of the love that he felt. And that was crazy. When I found that film, the first screening I had in America, that was screened just before mine, and I couldn't believe that there's a real world example. And I thought, well, there you go. I was imagining this and hoping it might be true, but it actually does happen. And kindness and love is incredibly powerful if we just give it half a flipping chance. Do you know what I mean? And the problem is, we're so hardwired to fight or run away, that we don't stay and explore that third option. And I don't know what it should look like in these difficult circumstances we're facing now, but I know that we could spend a lot more time exploring that, if and that's where we need creative people, that's where we need filmmakers, that's where we need artists to explore that space, and to get our heads around it, so that we've got something other than this awful, violent, horrible response to things. I'm going off one
Wow,
there.
I mean, I you could just
God.
make me cry for a second time. So this is a if this is not a great example, well, an exploration of why we need filmmakers and why we need
Yeah.
something that I'm going to go into now, then I don't know what is. But thank you so much for this. Honestly, yes, you made me cry
Thank
again.
you. Well, yeah. I mean, you have to. I think as a filmmaker, you have to. I mean, you know, it doesn't pay well. Like, so I'm in it for something else, you know, and that's why that's why I've ended up making films now that I really want to make, that I write myself, that I make myself, because it's like we need them, actually. We need more of us, and that's why I love filmmakers. I've loved meeting filmmakers over the last year and a half. It's been such an encouragement, such a pleasure, because it's like, gosh, we need people who can visualize alternate realities to help us explore other options for the way that we act as human beings. And that's it's so needed. I mean, you know. So yes, yeah, I'm very passionate about it.
No, I honestly couldn't love this more. This is wonderful, and you are a great filmmaker and a great person. And I think so. Here, what we do at Independent Film Trust, we support filmmakers, and that's what we want to
Mm,
do. But as you said, filmmakers don't get paid well, which is a very sad thing, and I don't think it should be a thing, because you can't live out of passion.
mm,
Well, maybe you could, but
mm.
we really want to yeah, support filmmakers. So I just wanted to go a little bit into what do you think independent filmmakers need. Well, there's a little bit of a decline at the moment at the British cinema,
Yeah.
on independent British filmmakers and
Mm.
independent cinema. So what do you think filmmakers need in order to continue making British cinema, not for great talented filmmakers to go to the US and work for big
Yeah.
studios?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Samantha Morton at the BAFTAs just hit the nail on the head, didn't she? And I think it's a really, really important thing. You know, it's filmmaking, definitely, and it's arts as well. Like, you know, I'm not a hugely political person, as far as British politics go, but certainly the idea that funding should be cut to the arts in times of, you know, in such difficult times, is actually madness. You know, I think it was even Winston Churchill. Not that I agree with a lot of his way of doing things, but I think he said, you know, during the wars, like, if art, and, you know, if we cut funding to the arts, or if we don't support artists and art, what's this all for? What are we fighting for? Like, if you are going to fight, because actually the art and film is what, and telling stories, that's been since the beginning of time one of the things that defines us as a human race compared to animals or to anything else. We can sit and we're conscious, and we can tell stories, and we can explore our existence through communication. That's what arts and filmmaking do so well. If we don't keep doing that, my gosh, we're what's what's life really about? What do we when do we get to actually enjoy this existence, or enjoy the privilege of being conscious sentient beings? So but yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I think, what do we need as independent filmmakers? I think we definitely need lots of encouragement. I think that comes in lots of different forms. For me, you know, this last, like I say, year and a half, it's been a massive encouragement, meeting other filmmakers, meeting other dreamers. You know, I don't know who it was that said, but the dreamers in the day, they are the ones that you know that are going to change things. Yeah, and I think filmmakers are that, and we need each other so that we can, you know, I've really enjoyed meeting other ones, so I feel like I'm a little less the only crazy kid in the village who wants to make stories, and sits around imagining these strange scenarios in his head, and thinks that someone should spend some money making them become real. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, encouragement for each other, meeting each other, networking better, but also obviously money. You know, we need access to people who believe in art and who believe in what I just said. You know, that this is important, and actually that now more than ever we need it. So um, yeah, and I've I think I think independent film. I've tried lots of different ways of getting films funded, and it's very, very, very difficult. And I think particularly, and probably rightly so, that I'm not in the category that is going to receive the most funding at the moment, from all the different grants and funds that are available. And actually, that's good, because actually we need to get minority voices heard more. We need to support, and make an easier channel for people from underprivileged and underrepresented backgrounds to be able to make film. But also, I think actually the only thing I would say alongside that is actually, I think, as a white male cisgender heterosexual man, I also have something to say in amidst all of what's going on at the moment, and that is, I want to be um, I think a lot of the onus, what it's me throughout history, white males who have fucked up the planet so much. If you don't mind me using that, we actually have a bit. It's actually, there is a responsibility to actually be part of unmessing it up, like doing something about changing it and undoing some of our mess. So I that's the only bit I would say, is that I really want it. I love seeing more films by female filmmakers. I'm really bored of the male voice in film. I totally agree. And that's such a pleasure now. I love Greta Gerwig. I love what she's doing. I love that she's got such a strong voice. And I'm loving seeing more films by Black people of color. Like, I just think that's so important. But I also think that we also need to hear the other voices who are joining with those people to deconstruct the messed up systems that there are, and to tell stories that build new and healthy systems in their place. And that's what I want to be part of. That's what I feel deeply about. Um, you're getting so much more than you bargained for. Sorry for these long answers, but yes, there you go.
No, honestly, if we had, well, we might have to do a part two, because this is great. This is very much something I was not even willing to hear, but you gave us, you're clearly very passionate, and I love what I'm hearing. So thank you so much um, for all of that. I hope this is gonna inspire someone, and I hope this is gonna inspire someone to help making films and fund films as well, so you can continue doing what you're doing. So just well, quickly, if you could tell us a little bit about your next project.
Well, yeah, it does actually lead quite nicely to that. My next project is called Fire Lily, and uh, it's quite it's even more ambitious than The Stupid Boy, and it actually does do exactly what I was saying there, which is me as a white male in history, and recognizing my culpability in history, and recognizing our place and things, wanting to well, it came off the back of the death of George Floyd, and I write poetry, and a few days after it, I was really rocked by that, and I know a lot of people were, and I was trying to come to grips with what I was feeling, and I write poetry, and that really helped me to explore that. And this poem is the sort of center of this film, and it's a narrative about an encounter between a white police officer in America and a young black dancer who's detained due to racial profiling by that police officer on his way home from the dance studio. But in that encounter, it triggers basically this kind of vision that this police officer sees, and it's kind of like, in a way, the voice of the universe speaking to him and the black dancer in unison, and it's sort of exploring some of these big issues again of colonialization, climate change, and systemic racism, and on our place within that, and yeah, so it's it's bonkers, as in how I'm ever going to pull it off, I don't know. But I again feel it really deeply, and it for me, it's a really important one for me to make for myself, because it's me exploring and trying to understand these things better, and trying to recognize, we all feel quite overwhelmed by these huge issues that are out there. But there's also, it's trying to empower, it's trying to give a sense of hope and empowerment of, like, the small things that we can do, we each have a chance within our own lives to dismantle racism and racist systems around us, and we actually need to, particularly white males, need to, be like actively dismantling racism, misogyny. We need to be actively doing that in our lives, and this film really is a call to that. And with that, but it's going to be communicated through poetry, through dance, because this young dancer, he's going to be dancing in this burnt out African landscape. So it's kind of going to be very cinematic, very beautiful, very poetic, but also hopefully quite powerful and empowering and hopeful, all at the same time. We'll
Everything,
see.
yeah. Of course
Yeah.
it will. Of course it will. And we can't wait to, well, hopefully support the project. And yeah, so if anyone who's
Yeah.
listening to this would like to support the project, please get in touch.
Yes, please do. I'd love to hear from you.
Because it
Or
does sound very good.
tell me why I shouldn't make it as well. I'd be interested, But yeah, yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'd love any support, and anybody who wants to engage with that kind of subject matter, please get in touch.
And now this is the best time because it's in development, I suppose, right? So
Yes, yeah. So the
yes.
script is
So
there. I'm tweaking it, but and we're pitching it, and I have a producer actor who's helping me, who's based in LA, who I met as a result of the film festival circuit. I met her over in Newport Beach Film Festival, and then also we have the central dancer, who's one of the leading black dancers in America, called Nehemiah Spencer. He's on board as well, which is really exciting because he was at the Juilliard School in New York, and he's incredibly gifted. I saw a film with him in it, and every time he came on screen, I just kept crying. I was like, there's something about this guy and what he does. I've got to work with him. So, and amazingly, I then got selected. We got selected for Cleveland Film Festival, and I got a chance to meet him. So he's on board, and yeah, we're just drawing. We also have a South African production company who are going to help resource us at that end in Africa. But I mean, we need lots of hands to the pump. So anybody else who's interested, please get in touch.
wonderful. Yes, do get in touch with Phil. Thank you so much. This was wonderful, and thank you for all that you're doing. And yes, thank you for listening, everyone. This was Phil Dunn, and Independent Film Trust Talks.
Great. Thank you.
Until
Thanks
the
so much,
next
Blanca.
one. Thank you.
All right, bye bye.